What's up, guys? Rick here from DFS On Demand, and this is the preview for the Masters. So let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right into it. You're looking at the lobby for the Masters tournament. Probably worth noting that these salaries came out a few weeks ago. So if there's any time for pricing inefficiencies, it's probably going to be this week. Before we go player by player here, I will introduce my key statistics. If you are a first-time listener, I put together key stats for every single week into a research spreadsheet amongst a bunch of other stats you can kind of see down there at the bottom. On DFS On Demand, that's where this spreadsheet is available. And let's go through why I chose the key stats that I did for this week. They're fairly straightforward, but there are a couple that are relevant to the Masters. Driving distance is almost always going to be a benefit, especially on a course where there's going to be little rough. Augusta National, notorious for not having very long roughs, so there's not much penalty if you miss the fairway, so give me bombers. Greens in regulation correlates very well with the winner. We'll talk more about that later, but greens in regulation is going to be on here. Par 5, birdie or better. If we look back at the last couple years here, so these are the game logs from, I've got the past 3 years here. You can see that these guys, outside of Danny Willett, believe it or not, you really have to destroy the par 5s. And a lot of them play the par 4s and even the par 3s over par. So where you make your money is on these par 5s. That tends to be a fairly significant trend year to year. Basically, if you could just hang on to your pants through the par 3s and the par 5s, and then make all your birdies or better on the par 5s, you're going to be doing great. So that's the reason I chose par 5 birdie or better. Again, this is going to be one of the hardest course setups that we have all year long. So bogey avoidance, I need guys who are going to avoid making bogeys, and then these might be the toughest greens in the world. So many nuances that a lot of players are not familiar with. Just give me the best putters, which is why I went with strokes gained putting. Okay, the lobby. Really 3 big dogs at the top here. Before I talk about them, a lot of unknown with Jason Day. Hasn't played well. We know his mom's going through some medical issues. No idea what he is going to show up as this week. I hate to even talk about a guy who's going through, personal stuff from a fantasy standpoint, but if you are really feeling frisky, he's your GPP guy. You know he has the stuff to be the #1 player in the world. I don't dare try to step into his mind and figure out what's going on or see where his game is at, but I imagine he's going to be very much under-owned. So if you're looking at a fantasy angle on this and you want a guy who's going to be low-owned, it's going to be Jason Day. But okay, let's talk about the other 3. I hate trying to separate one of these guys out of this group. I'm going to have plenty of all of them. They're all great. Dustin Johnson, clearly the best player in the world right now. If you just look at, the guy, does he ever lose anymore? No, he just goes out and wins everything. He's the odds-on favorite to win this tournament. Jordan Spieth has a really bad Friday at the Shell Houston Open, shoots a 77, misses the cut, which might not be a bad thing. He now gets to Augusta, a couple days early. Nobody grinds at Augusta like Jordan Spieth does. This guy has demons that he needs to exercise this week. He's played it 3 times. He's gone second, first, second. You're not going to find many players better than that. But he will be popular, and so will Dustin Johnson, of course, which leaves me with my guy. If you follow along, you know I'm a big Rory guy. There is going to be an influx of casual players this week. The quarter arcade, which I do the challenge for every single week. This year it's 15, or this week it's 15,000 guaranteed, which is the biggest that I can remember, and it's only a 20 max entry instead of 50. So DraftKings expecting a lot of casual fans this week, and I'm expecting them too, which means you're going to have a ton of Jordan Spieth owners, a ton of Dustin Johnson owners. Does Rory get overlooked here between those 2 guys? If we're looking at a big 3, I don't know. I'm sure they'll all be pretty heavily owned. The pricing is pretty soft this week, I'll tell you that. But Rory has the stuff to be the Masters champion. It's the only major he has not won. I don't need to tell you how good he is. It's kind of a game theory aspect where I'm hoping those casual fans come in and they say, oh, lock in Jordan Spieth because I know what he does at the Masters, and then, or lock in Dustin Johnson because he's white hot right now, just absolutely scorching the face of the earth. So we'll see. I'll have plenty of all three, but if you, put a gun to my head and made me choose just one, it's probably Rory. All right, I talk about Justin Rose nearly every week, and he deserves it. Just always under-owned, always a little underpriced for my liking. He's a guy who has a great record here, so let's pull up Justin Rose. He's right here. He's played this 11 times, has never missed a cut. No worse than a top 14 in the last 3 years. I mean, if you just look at, so top 14s, we'll call it, 4 out of the last 5 years. I mean, a sparkling record for a guy who, admittedly it's only Sunday. I've only watched 3 rounds of the Shell Houston Open. I don't know how this is going to finish, but he is in contention again at the Shell Houston Open now. I mean, another guy that you can just pencil in week to week, and he's got a fairly good price right now. Okay, next is Jon Rahm. So again, no secret here, but I have to point out that I think this pricing came out, oh man, was it after the Waste Management, after Pebble Beach? I don't remember when this pricing came out, but it's probably been 4 weeks or so. I don't know. I might have to look into that. But anyway, what it is not accounted for, even though Rahm has had a very good start to the season, is, it doesn't account for the fact that, he goes deep at the Mexico Championships, the World Golf Championships. He goes to the finals of the match play. Doesn't account for either of those, and you can kind of see it when we look at my key stats here. So again, if you've never seen this before, I take all the key stats, I add up all the ranks, and I give like a power rank. So Jon Rahm is my 5th ranked golfer, and you can see he's kind of the one here who, outside of these top 4, you get a pretty significant discount on Jon Rahm. So the pricing is just a little bit off. I think it's probably $500 off. I'd probably like him, or I wouldn't like him. I think he probably should be priced in the low 9,000s, but you're able to get him at 8,600. So I think that he's a viable option for this week. You know that once since 1935 has a first timer ever won at the Masters, but he's been winning and showing that he can compete week in and week out on this tour, so hard to overlook. All right, here's one that I like. Paul Casey, kind of flying under the radar right now despite making 6 out of 7 cuts. But this is the one major that we have so much course history on because the course never moves, it never rotates. So if we look at Paul Casey and his performances here, let's see if we can find him. All right, here we go. So even he slides down my performance chart. So if you just take this at face value, you'd say, oh, his average finish for Paul Casey is 39.5. Like, that's not very good. But let's look at recently. So the last 2 years, he goes T4, T6, has only played it twice in the last 4 years. So, I mean, how long do you have to hold on to these results 5 years and beyond? I'm not sure you have to ever look at them. So Paul Casey, 2 straight great years here, playing decently well right now, a really good price at $7,800, and that is my only other note on him. I thought I had one more thing, but I do not, so that's it. All right, we'll flip back to my key stats here real quick. Adam Hadwin at 6,900 and Brendan Steele both coming in tied for 6th in my ranks. Hadwin is my significantly favored. He will be in a ton of lineups for me. I suspect he will be for everyone else, but just an excellent putter. He followed up his win at the Valspar, backed it right up with his 6th place. Playing great golf right now, and he has all the metrics that I'm looking for. Steele is a little riskier. Steele is a GPP guy who can go really low. So started the year off really hot. We've seen him rattle off a bunch of birdies in a row, which makes Steele an appealing GPP option. Although I wouldn't particularly trust him in cash. If you were down in this range for cash games, Hadwin would certainly be my guy. And speaking of streaks, sorry if I'm jumping around a little bit, but I did put a FanDuel tab in here this week for those of you who are playing on FanDuel, because they give a big bonus for birdie streaks. So you'll see Jordan Spieth, the #1 golfer by far, if you're just looking at the FanDuel scoring metrics, which are heavy on, I mean, really, you want to know per round, you want to know bounce back, you want to know birdie streaks. They're heavier there. So Spieth, the #1 guy. It's not really particularly close either, but you can see there's a couple cool options in here as well. Steele pops up on this one more than on DraftKings because of that ability to make a bunch of birdies in a row. So worth noting for him. All right, and then we'll just wrap up. We'll look at the odds again real quick here. So again, because this pricing came out so long ago, I think looking at the odds, the live odds is worth it because the pricing got locked in and the odds have changed since then. So I think I actually thought there was going to be some more inefficiencies here, but it actually looks like it's not bad. But there's a couple guys. So Jon Rahm, like I mentioned, he could probably be priced up here with Ricky Fowler or even Stenson in the low to mid 9,000s. He's only 8,600. Paul Casey is again jumping out on this list where he's 45 to 1 to win. He should probably be mid 8,000s. He's only 7,800. Terrell Hatton, here's a good one. So probably should be, again, mid 8,000s. He's only 7,600 because he has over a 2% chance to win this thing. And then I thought there was someone else. Oh, all right, here's a good one. So Soren Keldsen, who we talked about, I think, last year at the Masters. We talked about him at some point last year. He is 150 to 1 to win this thing. Obviously not great odds. I'm very aware of that. But he is priced in the range with guys who are 300, 400, 500 to 1. If he was 150 to 1, he should kind of be up here in this low 7,000s. He's only 6,500. Last year, he finished in a tie for 7th at the Masters. So that's some pretty good history, 1 year history. Played well at the match play, right? Didn't he go out and beat Rory? Let's check what he did. Yeah, okay, so Soren goes out, he beat Rory, then he beat Emiliano Grillo. He got a withdrawal from Gary Woodland before running into the buzzsaw that was then he beat Will McGirt before running into the buzzsaw that is Jon Rahm. So my bad. So he makes it to the quarterfinals. I don't blame him for losing 7-5 to Jon Rahm. So here you've got a guy who's, playing pretty well. Finished in a tie for 7th last year at the Masters. His odds indicate he should be priced higher. He's only 60. What did we say he was? $6,500. I think you could do a lot worse down here. So I think that's about it. Already over 13 minutes, so I'll try to not make this too much longer here. I will be available to chat a lot this week, so tweet me. It's at DFS on demand. Shoot a comment in the box below. I'll try to respond to as many as I can, but I'm looking forward to this week. I hope everyone wins a lot of money, and best of luck. See ya.